Let's talk about attributes. What is an attribute, and why are the key and name properties of attributes just so vitally important? First of all, a dimension really is made up of attributes and hierarchies, maybe a few calculated members or something like that, but attributes are the things that people see the most. And the closest analog we have in the relational world for an attribute is a column in a table. And it's kind of close, but it can also be a little misleading. And here's why it can be misleading. An attribute kind of stands on its own, and it has several relationships to the underlying tables. So it's not precise to think of an attribute as a column from a table. So specifically, the attribute can have a name that is completely different than the column it came from. To demonstrate that, let's look at calendar month label. If I browse calendar month label, I'll see that they represent the names of the months. And they're in alphabetical order. We'll get to that. But calendar month label is the column in the database. So it's dimdate.calendarmonth_label. But within my dimension, I can call it something completely different. I'm going to call it cal month for no reason other than to show you that I can call this whatever I want. It still has the same key column that it had before, and nothing has changed, but its name has changed. So the semantics of what we call things in our dimension is completely under our control as we design it. And if you really look at this property list over here, there are many, many properties. But the two you will have to think about with almost every attribute that you design are the key columns property and the name column property. And let's explain what exactly do these mean. The name column is what you actually will see. So when I browse, when I go into the browser and I browse the calendar half year, this is the text that actually shows up. So that text that shows up when I'm browsing is controlled by the name column. However, the name column can be none if the key columns has only one key column. So this can be a little bit confusing. But basically, when you first create a dimension, the key column will be the column from the database table. The name column will be none because it'll just use that as the name. You will have to specify a name column if you use a multi-column key. If you had key columns, for example, year and month, both of them, then it wouldn't be clear which one should be the name column. Therefore, analysis services would require you then to select one or the other or something completely different for the name column. And that's part of the key here, that the name column can be anything you want. So if you would like to choose the calendar month label as the key and the year as the name, you certainly could do that. It would make no sense at all, but you could do it. Let's make a change that does make sense to an attribute, and we'll stick with cal month. The problem with this attribute is its ordering is completely wrong. So it's ordering from April is the first month of the year, the second month is August, the third month is December. We all know that's not true. And we can control this behavior by the use of our key columns and our name column. So I'm going to change my key column from the text string of the month that's in English to another attribute that I have, which is calendar month int. And this int is an integer 1 through 12. That makes more sense as a key anyway because it's an integer, it will sort better, it will perform better. But the name, I still want my name to be the calendar month label because when this attribute is displayed, I still want to see the word January, the word February, and so on. And then one related property that I want to pay attention to is my order by. Analysis Services lets me control, do I want to see the members of this attribute ordered by their key, by their name, or there are a couple other options we'll cover in a future lesson, but the most common you use are key and name. So if I order by name, then April will come first. If I order by key, then January will, because the key for January is 1. So key still makes sense, but I've changed my key to be an integer that runs 1 through 12, and my calendar month label remains the name. However, I have to explicitly choose it now because it's not the same as the key. So part of the point in all of this is that an attribute is kind of a thing that you design. It's not just a column from a table. It's something you think about and have a lot of control over. Now let's test to see if this worked. So I'll go ahead and redeploy this to get my changes out to the server. And then I'll press the process button for the dimension only, and run that. Okay, my process has succeeded, so let's see if we had the effect that we wanted. After I reprocess an object and I'm in the browser and the browser's still open, I want to click this Reconnect button. That will cause the browser window to go reread the metadata from the database. But let's take a look at this cal month and see if it's doing what we want now. So if I open this, I want to see January 1st, then February, then March, then April, and so on. And that worked. Now I have the same text that I wanted from before. I've assigned that to the name column, but I'm using the integer 1 through 12 for the key column. And by using those two columns appropriately, I can get exactly what I want, the text that I want, but the ordering I want as well.